Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Sportscast brought to you by the Outspoken Network. You got your hosts, Brian, Craig, and Jeff on today. It's been a while since we've all been on, guys. How you been?
Howdy.
I've been good, been good.
Been good? All right, guys. Well, we got a lot of football to get into. Um, let's see, we got week 15 games. We've got to do our power rankings. We've got Heisman Trophy winner last night. Um, a little segment called "Do You Trust Them?" So we got quite a bit to get into. We got some baseball transactions being made and everything else in between. So, um, let's get started. And I guess with the schedule today, as today is Sunday, we usually aren't doing a podcast on Sundays, but um, we got some really good games today. We got probably the game of the year. It could be game of the year this week, and that is the Buffalo Bills at the Lions. This one's going to be great. Um, Come on, Buffalo. Obviously, I want Buffalo to win because I need the Lions to freaking lose some games here. They're, um, I mean, the Packers really can't win our division. It's going to be either Minnesota or Detroit, and I'd rather go to Minnesota and play in the playoffs than Detroit. So I'm rooting for Buffalo here. That ought to be a fantastic game today. Um, we also got Pittsburgh and the Eagles. Thanks, NFL. You have them playing at the same freaking time, so you got to multi-screen it or try and watch them both at the same time. Both those games should be the really good games of the week. Who do we got winning the Buffalo Detroit game? Who do you guys think win that game? That
I
one.
mean, it's going to be two high-powered offenses. There's not going to be very much defense in that game. You worry about the Lions' pass rush. Do they have what they've lost? Do they have enough to get to Allen's ability to get out and run and improvise with his feet? I still think I can't go against Detroit. I mean, I just they find ways to win football games. I don't know how they're doing it, but they picked up right where they ended last season, and they've got one blemish on their record, and that was early in the season. I think week two is the only blemish they have on the year, and even when you don't think they can win, they somehow do it, and so I have to go with Detroit on that.
Um, I'm gonna go. I mean, I got to go with the Bills on this one. Not because I don't think Detroit can. It's like stand a chance. I just think that maybe with some of the depth issues in terms of making sure everybody is healthy versus the Bills, which I think they're maybe a little bit more healthier than them right now. So, and plus with Allen, he's playing on another level right now. I think he's hungry. Um, but I think it's close. If I were to put any kind of guess on that, I do think it's going to come down to the last possession, whoever's got it. But I think Buffalo just ekes it out today.
This one's tough for me because obviously I'm a little biased and I want Buffalo to win so bad. At the end of the day, look, Green Bay. We had a chance to beat them last week. Um, Little helps from not no call on the refs, beating up our quarterback in the head and ripping our player's helmet off, and calling a weird, interesting pass interference on the offense, which didn't seem like pass interference to me. But
So a lot of weird calls this year.
it's it's it was a good game. We stuck in there with them. I'm gonna I'm gonna go. I want to say Buffalo. I really do. Um, but I'm gonna have to go with Detroit. And I think my biggest takeaway from the game last week was, they talk about the defense being so hurt from Detroit, and they are, but they played us really well, and they blitzed us differently, and they schemed up a lot of different looks that they haven't been showing other people against us last week, and um, I think that's going to give Allen some trouble today. And I got the Lions winning at home. It could go either way. It's a coin flip for me. I think it's a 3-point win. Either flip of the coin, but I got the Lions winning it, unfortunately.
And I think the Lions being in Detroit is an advantage on their end. I mean,
Oh,
I
Yeah,
think
not
I
having
think
to play in Buffalo in
right.
December.
Buffalo is a whole different other character in itself. So,
outdoor, the
um,
weather, they're not dealing with any of that.
right. So, I mean, that's definitely a plus. I just want to see. Uh, I have this weird thing where when a team like wins a bunch of games in a row like that, I just want to see them lose one. Just not because I don't think that the Lions are good enough. I just think that just
Well,
humbles them a bit
now is the
going
time to
into at
lose.
the end. Yeah, so but this game is important for them. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
very
and
important.
the games they've played lately have been a lot closer. They haven't been blowing people out, and
Right, exactly.
um,
I I don't look at that with the Green Bay game because y'all are. I mean,
divisional.
yeah, it's like Denver and Oakland. It's like, Denver and Chargers, Denver and Kansas City. Or like Cowboys, Eagles, Cowboys, Giants. Even that, like it's gonna be competitive just because you've seen each other a million times over the last, you know, so many years. So yeah, I mean,
I think this is a. There's not a must win, but if Lions were to lose one, okay, not that great big of a deal.
Well, it is though for home
And
field
well,
advantage
for the
because you
division,
don't. I
yeah.
mean, well that you've got Minnesota and Philadelphia that only have two losses, so you the top seed that gets the bye.
Yeah,
That's very important. I mean, you don't have a lot of normally at 11-1 or 12-1 or whatever they are. Um,
you don't have a
they'd
lot of
have some
choices.
space.
Yeah,
They'd have they not. I mean, you got three teams in the NFC that only have two losses or less. I mean that's
well, then it comes down to the whole question of what happens at the end of the season. I mean, yes, you have something to play for, but you also have people that are hurt. I mean, do you want to risk getting other people injured down the stretch here, or do you want to hurry up and solidify that first round bye? And maybe you get an extra week off, I guess. But
you
I
know,
don't know.
in the history of Green Bay, we don't want the number one seed. Every time we have the number one seed and have a week off, we don't show up when the next week comes. Um,
They're
so
hungover.
I don't want the number one seed because we have bad luck with it. Um, which is like I said, we're not going to win our division, but uh, but I think really to me this is a staple game for Buffalo. If they can beat Detroit on the road,
Yeah, it's a big
this
deal.
I think it kind of ends all the discussion of them because I mean we talked about it that we thought they might fall off, and they've lost a game or two here where you're like, how they lose that team? But I think this is one thing. If they win today, they can really go, okay, we're here, we've arrived, and get ready for the playoffs, Kansas City, and Baltimore and Pittsburgh because we're here and they're looking pretty scary already. But this would be a huge win for them if they get it today. Um, Pittsburgh and Philly, two teams. We saw Philadelphia fall off a cliff last year faster than anybody else ever has. You got so many question marks with Pittsburgh in the quarterback room and is Fields and Russell Wilson. They've been playing really good football right now. They're 10-3 as well. They've got they're winning that division over Baltimore. This one's going to be a good game. It's going to be a battle of the defenses, and that's what it's going to come down to. I think I'm going to give the edge to Pittsburgh. We talk about with Philadelphia and all the chaos and all this, and there's the connection between Hurts and Tony or AJ Brown's not there, and he's wanting the ball more. They keep winning games, and I don't. It's kind of interesting because we talked about it before in the regular season that we don't think the coach has a locker room, but they keep winning. I just think today, Mike Tomlin, we got to give him hella credit this year. What he's done with those two quarterbacks. He's revived Russell Wilson's career a little bit. He's not old Russ, but he's not killing you. He's making smart decisions. That defense. I got Pittsburgh though on the road winning in Philadelphia. I think you see frustrations with Fields today. They're gonna get to him. They're gonna blitz him, and I think today they're not gonna be able to overcome it. So I got Pittsburgh winning on the road in Philly.
I
What do you
just
got,
keep
Craig?
I just keep waiting for the Eagles to fall apart again. There's something in that team that I don't trust. Um, Saquon Barkley has obviously had a
He's no,
year that
yeah,
you would have never imagined. Um, you know, he could be the MVP of the whole league. Um, even though that seems to be a quarterback award now, but I mean, it just what Tomlin's done with Pittsburgh has been, I mean, coach of the year esque deal. I mean, here we were talking about, um, does he keep his string alive to be over 500? And not only has he done that, he's leading a division with a very good Baltimore team. Um, yeah, I have to go with Pittsburgh because I just don't trust Philadelphia. There's something in the locker room. There's something with the coach. There's something there. I just don't want to
and
believe
you
that
hear
there's
it publicly every week.
well. And that's the
There's a
thing
new
that
frustration. There's a new this, and it's like,
and that's what we heard at the end of the year last year when they fell apart. So you just and then they started kind of rough this year, and so you thought that it was just going to continue, and then now they've won a bunch of games in a row, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah,
Um, I was just curious. I was looking up at their. I mean, I'm looking because I mean you got Saquon Barkley, so I was just curious what their how their defense handles rush, and pretty good. So that's a piece in this um to think about.
yeah. If
So
he has a huge game today, then
if he has a huge game, then I think then it's a different story, and I think at that point I don't think Pittsburgh has a chance. The one thing about Pittsburgh that I will, again, I'm going to continue beating the drum. Russell Wilson, when he's kind of on the ropes, he doesn't make the greatest decisions. And that's been oddly enough, early in his career, he was very good at it. I think now as he gets older, I think it's a lot different. Um, so this will be an interesting game from him because I think, and the thing about the Eagles, and I'll go with what Craig was talking about, when is the shoe going to drop on this team, or when is um, the domino house of cards going to collapse? Um, the Eagles don't do good with adversity. So I think like when they're down, or when it looks dire, um, they don't know. I think they have a hard time putting that behind them and moving forward and continuing to try to win games, and or even make a comeback. Even if it's not you lose, you at least got there. You at least fought the game. I think sometimes they all kind of folded in after a bit, and they just and that's what kind of causes some of that dysfunction. Um, but it's going to all result in Saquon Barkley. I think that I'm going to go with the Eagles on this. I think they are going to surprise a little bit. I Unless Russell Wilson does something crazy, I don't know what Pittsburgh is their defense. That is what kept him in these games. It is not Russell Wilson throwing for, you know, 5 touchdown passes and lighting the league on fire in his redemption tour.
yeah, he's
None of that's
definitely
going
driving the
on.
bus. He's
Yeah, and
definitely the
yeah,
definition of a bus driver.
right. And that if that's what his career is, great. It's towards the end of his career here, that's fine. But Pittsburgh has a good defense, and I think that's what changes it. But I do think Saquon Barkley is on a completely different level right now. I'm shocked by it. I think everybody who watches these games are shocked by it. This is a absolute surprise, and he has been it's like he is ready to go, and I think it's one of those unstoppable beasts right now. And until someone stops him and hits him in the mouth and just completely ruins his day,
yeah,
it's hard for me to go against that. So I got Eagles here. Close again, another one of these games because the Pittsburgh's defense is way too good. to let a game run away from him like that. So I just think that this is going to be a very, and again, if you got Saquon running, it's going to be a pretty short game. So especially if he's converting and things like that. So I think that they're going to rely on that if he is being successful against this defense. Oh yeah.
The Giants ownership. First of all, someone's got to be fired for the whole Daniel Jones debacle, and then letting Saquon go is another one that they've got to answer for. Um, they've got to be shooting themselves in the foot because my God, we let this guy go, and this is what he's doing. Um, Outside of those two games, that really the game tonight looks pretty good. Green Bay at Seattle. Um, Green Bay to me should win this game. Seattle's one of those teams that they're always in it. They always seem to be a little thorn. We don't have very good luck in Seattle. I think we all know the luck Green Bay and Seattle. Um, but Seattle's that team though that they'll go out and any given Sunday and they'll go out and they'll beat the Baltimore Ravens and then they'll turn around and lose to the Colts. And it's like, what are we watching here? How do we do this? How do we, you know? Um, so I think it should be a pretty close game, closer than I probably want to admit. But I got Green Bay winning this one um, to continue a good season that we've had so far this year. But I think we win this one in Seattle. I'm not a big Geno Smith believer. But it is tough to play in Seattle, though. But that's the Sunday night football game tonight. Who you guys got there?
I got
Yeah, go ahead.
I got Green Bay. I just think that they're overall a well-rounded team versus Seattle. I think that especially Green Bay's secondary. Um, I just think their secondary is really good. So I think overall though, I think Green Bay's an overall better team. I don't like when my team goes there. I don't like playing there. We always somehow lose the games there. I don't know why. It's a weird place to play. Um, it's just horrible. I cannot stand when I see a schedule and it's like, we play Seattle. Where? Oh, there. Okay. It's like this is gonna be a weird game. Um, and it happened earlier in the season. I think the first game the Broncos played was in Seattle, and it was just I don't know. It was a weird game. So yeah, I think Green Bay can pull it off. I think they can go in there and win. It may not be the prettiest win, but a win is a win. So I think I got Green Bay in this game.
Yeah, I think Green Bay should win. I don't trust Geno Smith. I never trusted him, but yet he had the season that
Yeah.
got him paid, and kudos to him for doing that. But and 12th man noise, Seattle. There are going to be some factors into it, but Green Bay should win the football game. It would
A lot
be
of
it would be
flags.
yeah, it would be a lot. It would be a lot of. I mean, it would be a terrible loss right now in their
Yeah.
season to have a misstep on a game like this when
Yeah.
you're playoffs and things like that. It would hurt badly to lose this game, and I think Jordan Love's way better than Geno Smith, and the back end of the Packers defense is like you talked about is way better, and
Way good.
they should win by probably 10 points.
I agree. We should win by at least 10. We had a barn burner on Thursday night with the Rams in San Francisco, 12-6. That game was. I turned it off. I was like, this game is so bad.
Which is crazy
Basically,
with the Rams, getting in a shootout with Buffalo, and
yeah.
then 12-6 against the 49ers.
Now, this almost guarantees that San Francisco is going to miss playoffs this year. They're they're now 2 games out of the division.
They're completely unhealthy. And
Yeah, I mean,
it's
just
Yeah.
I mean, outside of Dallas, I don't think anybody's had the type of injuries that the 49ers have. You
it's
missed your
crazy.
running back for the first so many weeks. He comes back and plays 2 games and then blows his knee out and is gone for the rest of the year. I mean, there's problems in San Francisco
Brock
to the
Purdy
point
injured too,
where,
right?
huh?
Brock Purdy was injured as well, right?
He missed a couple games. I think he was
Okay.
back for
Yeah.
the Rams game.
Yeah,
He had the
he was
shoulder.
back this week
Yeah, he
against the
had the
Rams.
shoulder like a bursitis or something
He
in
only
the
missed
shoulder.
one. He
Hmm.
missed Green Bay,
You know, but I mean, there's something going on in San Francisco where you have guys that don't want to play.
that
You know, and
Campbell refused to go on the field.
so, but
It's
I
crazy.
mean, you, it's just weird things happening. I mean, this guy plays all year, and he's had a really good year, but he was a rental. They already, I mean, he basically knew that. He basically knew this was a season to just go and put some tape out for another team to sign him because he knew that they had linebackers or whatever. And then Dre Greenlaw comes back, and I mean, he's a Pro Bowler. He's probably the starter, whatever. And then this guy takes offense to, well, no, I should be in there. I have led the team in tackles almost, and I've done this and I've done that, and then Greenlaw gets hurt, and they ask him to go in the game, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good." And I mean, you just don't see that in the NFL. You don't
Right.
see that in anywhere. And so there's something going on. You have to ask if Shanahan is again losing the team and losing the locker room. I don't know. It's very confusing to me on you know, for a team to be such a powerhouse for a long time, and then now you have internal issues and I don't know.
Well,
It's just
it can,
Uh,
something
and
to look at.
that can be weird, right? I mean, that's a thing in football where you've got a team that is constantly in the playoffs, constantly in the
Right.
NFC Championship game. They get to the Super Bowl, but they never win it. People start losing the message. It seems like and and sometimes you get so far, and an organization needs to go. All right, we've had a lot of success, but I don't think we're gonna. This is gonna get any further than this, and we've got to make a hard decision to move on. It's a very tough decision to make.
But see, this has happened in San Francisco over and over. It happened with Harbaugh.
Yeah,
Now it's happening with Shanahan,
yeah,
where they're very successful for a
very
short
successful.
period of time, or for a 2 or 3 year time, and then all of a sudden they just fall off the cliff, and the message stops getting through. And it was the same thing that happened with Harbaugh. So what is going on in San Francisco that you're good for this, you never get over the hump, and then all of a sudden it's
Well,
straight off the cliff. And you've seen it happen a couple times now.
and it's in this season too. Like I don't. I mean, I've been talking about with Ryan Sims about this. I don't give teams, um, what do you want to call it? I don't give them any sympathy for injuries unless it's your quarterback because we're all injured. But I will admit, the 49ers and Cowboys have had so many injuries. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. So this is one of those years, I think, for especially both those two teams, you can kind of, all right, well, but Purdy's played all year pretty much. He missed against Green Bay. Um, I would knock them more than the Dallas because Dak Prescott, I mean, has been out for most of the season. So it's just one of those years. And I think going forward with the 49ers is going to be interesting to see next year if are they going to continue this level of dominance when they get healthy again, or is this like we talking about? Is this where kind of they fall off and then you start looking at head coaching changes? But I don't think they move on from Shanahan. I mean,
no,
he's a daggum good coach, but
no. I think
It's just
something
I think this we
yeah,
talk about like Philadelphia and the House of Cards fall and all that kind of stuff. I think this is kind of might be it for the 49ers. I think this is maybe where they kind of reset.
could
Um,
be.
not to say that like, they're just gonna get rid of everybody at Debo's, like I just think that maybe it's time to kind of reset this whole thing and, start fresh and maybe get rid of some of the weight on the team that maybe coming up on an extension or
But
coming
they
up on
just
a
signed a bunch of guys. They
yeah.
just signed the receiver.
Did
Well,
they?
Purdy's contract's coming up.
They got to decide. That's the biggest one. Can we win with
Um,
Purdy?
and I don't know what McCaffrey's contract where we are on that because they got that from Carolina, so I don't know where he sits. But I mean, you just signed the both wide receivers to you know massive deals.
Yeah.
And that might be fine, like maybe the reset is coming in other facets. If Christian McCaffrey is injured and he's not, at the end of his contract here, and they're like, yeah, I think you go test the market. Like I think that they could do that. Brock Purdy, it's another one. If they look at it like we're not going to give you a big deal, man. Like go
I
test
mean,
the market.
yeah, I don't know. And they've got to decide, is Shanahan the long-term coach, and they've got to decide, can Shanahan win with Purdy? Because if he doesn't think he can win with Purdy, it's not going to work out.
Right.
Yeah, but I think
It's
at this
interesting to
point that
see.
organization is like Shanahan. If you don't think Purdy's the guy, then we'll just move on from him. I don't think they're going to.
Move on from Purdy or
Um,
move on from the coach.
no, I don't think they're going to move on from the coach.
Yeah, I
I
don't
just
either.
don't. I think that the organization trusts Kyle Shanahan so much that they're like, dude, we've gotten to the playoffs how many times? Do what you got to do, man. How many different quarterbacks we had? Do what you got to do. Like, and so you took a running back and you turn him into a wide receiver and there's success with that. Do what you got to do. Like it's I think the organization trusts him a lot more. And then obviously you have like John Lynch in there as well. It's
I,
running around and picking and getting up picks and stuff and making organizational decisions, trade wise and all that. I just think Brock, they look at it and say, if you think we can get somebody, you can get some more out of another quarterback, and we don't have to pay Brock Purdy a big time deal, because look at the quarterback market. Doesn't matter who you are, you're getting paid.
yeah.
I think the
Well,
organization's like, go find another guy.
And there are some quarterbacks coming in the draft, and if you're going to be not making the playoffs, you're going to have a pick.
and they're
I mean,
aggressive.
you could
49ers.
maybe walk from Purdy and get a guy and start the clock over, on that,
Yeah.
and pay this guy a rookie salary, and you know, I don't know, I don't think Sanders is there probably where they'll be at or anything like that, but I mean, I don't know.
Well, they're aggressive. I could see him making a trade and moving up, but it would take a lot to get Sanders or Ward. I think Ward. I would take Ward over Sanders in my opinion out of Miami. Um, but that's a whole different discussion. Craig, and we talked about this a long time ago. Who wanted Trey Lance? I think because that Trey Lance was a disastrous of a pick, and I think that was Lynch now looking back at it, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
not Shanahan.
yeah,
And
I
I
think you're
think
right.
them keeping Shanahan around tells that story of he didn't want the guy. He knew the guy wasn't going to be very good. Hell, Dallas won't even play him when they got nothing to freaking win. That's how bad he is.
Well, and I
Um,
just don't understand. I
it
still
doesn't that
don't
doesn't make
understand
any
that.
sense.
You
But
you you give up a draft pick for this guy, and keep him on the roster, and you're paying the money to him, and then
you
it
don't play
comes
him.
down. Now is the time to play him when you have nothing left to play for, and Cooper Rush is
Yeah.
the guy, and even when Rush looked horrible, they put Lance in for a play here or a play there, and yeah,
Yeah, Dallas
Lance
ain't.
won't. Yeah, he's done being a Cowboy, and he'll be a free agent. But I just never understand. I don't understand any of these trades that they're making.
But
The wide receiver
yeah.
that they give up a third for, that had 5 catches all season long. The Trey Lance deal. Uh, None of this. The front office is in shambles in Dallas.
Well, we're gonna get into Dallas here in a second, but I like um that whole ordeal makes it. I think John Lynch wanted Lance, Shanahan didn't. They went with Lynch plan, and this is really looking really well for Shanahan. Look,
Yeah.
this guy can't even get playing time in Dallas when they're when their backup quarterbacks play. So it looks really well for him. I don't think they move on from Shanahan. We talk about this may be
No.
the year they do some other things, but I don't think getting rid of the head coach is one of those. Because
If there's
he
any
would be
shakeup, it's Lynch.
he would be picked up. If they got rid of Shanahan, he'd be picked up tomorrow. I mean,
Yeah,
Oh
he'd
yeah,
be picked up
absolutely.
before the ink on the termination paperwork dried.
yeah.
He'll be in Dallas.
All
He
right.
would
Well,
he would be. There's no doubt there.
speaking of Dallas Cowboys, their streak of bad luck continues. Diggs out for the rest of the year. They lose Overshown last week. He's gonna miss next year, right, Craig? He blew everything in his knee. Gone.
I mean, if he comes back, it won't be till the end of the season. I mean, you're looking at least 12 to 15 months on this. My question is, I don't know if you guys saw this. The week before, it looked like he had this injury. Okay, he's running down the sidelines to go tackle somebody, or to cover somebody, and he falls and he grabs his knee, and I thought then they're like, oh, it's a no contact injury, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And then this week he comes back and blows it out. My question is, was there something there
They missed.
that they missed, and you allowed him to play, and he blows this? Because if you look at it before, I mean, he's in all kinds of pain,
Yeah.
and they have to carry him off the field and everything like that, and then he plays and blows his whole knee out, and I'm like, there had to be something there
Right.
on the MRI that said he probably shouldn't play, or there was a partial tear of something, and maybe we need to get it, just a minor surgery or something like that. And then he goes and blows the whole, I mean, ACL, MCL, PCL, the whole thing.
He blew a whole knee's gone. I mean,
Yeah.
and
So
and he's
that
been
could be a career. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what I was thinking as well. I'm like, how's he gonna come back after this? Like, how is he gonna be? Like,
yeah.
he's definitely not gonna be definitely not gonna be the same
No, I wouldn't think so.
dude.
he's
I
Like,
wouldn't think
been
so.
a bright spot on this defense. Watching these games, this guy's all over the field, and he's making plays. And I'm like, all right, this is a bright spot. You can check for next year. He's gonna be, and his knee gets landed on, and he blew everything. I'm like, oh, that's some bad luck. What is Diggs out for the rest of the year for?
A knee?
That's not good for you. I mean,
Well, I'm not.
it's
I'm
probably not
not
as
a.
crazy as this guy's.
I'm not
yeah,
a Diggs fan, to be honest with you.
he's not lived up to his
Well,
1 year.
He had a couple good years, right?
he's boomer bust.
Right.
Trayvon Diggs is, even the year that he had all the
He had
interceptions,
11
and
interceptions in 1 year, and it was
that's great. But he also was the cornerback that led up the most yards
he'll get beat
that year.
'cause he's so aggressive.
So he might get the ball, but if he doesn't get the ball, he's going to give up 70 the other way. Here's a guy who was a wide receiver, and they change him over in Alabama to play the other side of the ball, and okay, I just don't. He's not Dion Sanders. He's not a lockdown corner.
He doesn't
He's
like to
not a guy
tackle.
that's going to follow a gun. No, he can't. He refuses to tackle. Um, to me, I'm just not a Diggs fan.
They hang their hat on the contract on that 1 year when he had 11 interceptions.
Right. Again,
And that's it.
again,
And
he
he
struck
hasn't
while
been
the
that
iron was
great.
hot.
Mhm.
He has a good year. They pay him, and he's not that.
Bland's better in my opinion.
100%, 100%,
Bland's great.
100%.
Oh, fantastic.
That was
player.
when his foot injury that hurt.
Yeah.
To miss him for 8 weeks or whatever, and it was only supposed to be 4 weeks, and it turned into 8 or 9.
And Bland comes out and they don't even use it. They don't even throw it at the side of the field.
Right,
Okay.
right,
Bland's good.
and he has the ability. Bland is the full package.
Yeah.
He can lock a guy down and pick the ball off.
Yeah, he has great coverage. There's been a lot, and Ryan asked me this question and all this stuff, and been a lot of talk about Coach McCarthy returning for the Dallas Cowboys instead of actually walking out the door.
I
Dak
think, like
Prescott,
I said,
Dak Prescott came out and said he wants him. Micah Parsons said he wants him. Jerry Jones come out and they asked him a question about Is it possible he gets an extension? Jerry's like, of course it is. This guy's won a Super Bowl. What are your thoughts, Craig? You being the Cowboy fan here, what are your
Well,
thoughts on bringing Coach
what
McCarthy back next
we
year?
talked about this when Dak went down, that this might be the magic deal that gets him an extension. The amount of injuries he's had, the the team's been decimated.
Yeah.
What else are you going to get? What's going to be open head coach wise? You thought you had a backup plan with Belichick. You never saw him going to college, and
Never saw
not
that coming.
not only not going to college, but North Carolina. Like what the
Yeah, not
world?
like at Alabama or yeah,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like
It's
that.
not Michigan. It's not Miami. It's not Colorado. It's
Yeah, it's
North
weird.
Carolina. That's not a football school. That's a basketball school and whatever. Um. So
That was shocking.
Yeah.
right,
Just because I'm like, that's weird. Really?
and when they started talking about it, I'm like,
Straight up money, though.
No
It's
way.
got to be
Oh,
just
it's
straight up
gotta
money.
be. It's gotta be. They backed up the Brinks truck and said, "What do you want? Here's a check that's blank. You write down a number, we'll pay it." They've already gotten a ton of NIL money that they didn't have. All of a sudden, they found all this money to pay these guys.
Oh, there it
I
is.
thought he would have gone to Alabama if I really thought about it. You know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. A big
Yeah.
name school. That's
Because
completely different.
Saban's out, and he's and I think having that name and that
Kalen DeBoer has
you know
missed the playoffs, whatever. But I think they sign him back. I think they sign McCarthy back and give him. Now, I don't think it's a 5-year deal. I think it's probably a couple years, and we'll see how it goes. I understand this year was supposed to be the you better make the NFC Championship or else, but with all the injuries, with the fact that you don't have a big name other than maybe Ben Johnson from Detroit, you probably think he goes somewhere, but his loyalty to Detroit has been, if you hang your hat on Ben Johnson and fire McCarthy, and then Ben Johnson doesn't leave Detroit. Um, so I think McCarthy's back. I really do. I think they give him probably 2 or 3 years, and if it doesn't work next year and they're healthy, then deal. But I just think he's probably back.
Here's two. You got two things working against you, Craig. And one is I don't think Jerry, being as old as he is willing to go out and take a risk on a young up and coming guy. Right?
Yeah.
He wants the veteran own. So how many veteran coaches out there with hats on the wall are there? Not very many right now. But
Not that'll be
secondly,
available.
yeah. Secondly, the other issue is Stephen Jones said, "Hey guys, we're not spending no money next year either, so we're gonna have to win what we got."
That's
I'm
no
like,
different than any other year in free
I'm
agency.
like, I'm like, this year we saw what it was when you didn't go out and spend no money, and you guys, even with
Well,
Dak, even when healthy, were terrible.
but the reason they can't spend any money is they've got the Dak contract starting next year. They've got Parsons they've got to pay. They've got, you know, a CD that they just paid. You don't have any money to go out and you're gonna have to hit every draft pick.
You're in the yeah. You better draft a lot better this
You
year.
better. You
But
better.
to me, bringing Coach McCarthy back, you're just repeating this year pretty much. I mean,
Well,
I get you're injured and your record's gonna.
another thing with McCarthy
It's
though is he's gonna let Jerry do the draft. He's gonna let Jerry run things. Who else? Another big name, Belichick or a guy with skins on the wall, probably comes in and goes, "Hey, I'm doing this. It's my deal. You're not drafted. I'm going to be in on this. I'm going to be in on that." And McCarthy clearly allows Jerry to do Jerry, so that's another, you know,
I just think bringing him back is not. You're gonna be in the same boat, and it's gonna be a waste
What?
of another year, and then he's gonna get fired because he didn't live up to his expectations, and then we're going. Why did you
I
extend this guy?
definitely think it's a year by year. I don't. I mean, even if they sign him to more than 1 year, which they will,
Yeah, yeah. You can't
I
do
still.
a
I
year
still think
contract. It's like
no.
a
I still think they fire him if he has another bad season.
Yeah.
um.
I don't disagree with that either. And I think let's not also forget the Stephen Jones aspect to this as well. That like we talk about Jerry doing stuff, but I mean I'm sure he's pulling
Uh,
some strings in the background as well.
Oh,
So
that's what I've always told people. Is they're like, we can't wait till Jerry leaves. Well, guess what, guys?
Steven Jones ain't
When
better.
Jerry leaves, Steven's taken over, and that apple didn't fall very far from the tree. So, that's going to be the same thing for the next until maybe Jerry Jr. or somebody else runs the franchise or you get rid of the Joneses altogether. It's not going to be any different. I mean, Steven's already the one doing the contracts, so
right.
And
you know
he's the money guy, and
he's the
he's
money
going
guy, and the money is the
the worst part
payroll's
of the
the
Dallas
worst.
Cowboys.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't. It's very poorly ran. It's very. You're not getting a lot out of a lot of guys that you were supposed to get out of. Um,
I mean, this year though, there doesn't need to be an excuse anymore. You possibly just lose the rest of your games. Like I don't understand why you're trying to win at this point. And that I know they lost in a weird way this last time. And Michael Parsons like we could have. I'm like just lose, get better, get a better situation in terms of a draft picks situation,
They
and
will
maybe
never
even
do it
trade
again.
up.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
won't do it
you
because
got to do
Jerry
something.
Jones won't ever. Just we're gonna lose out, and that's why they continue to keep Cooper Rush in there. He gives us our best chance to win. Win what? Win the 15th overall pick and be right there in the middle of the first round. Like, what? You're not winning anything.
No,
It's yeah. And I
but
get it, Jeff. That's smart. That's the smart thing to do. Is let's put
but
Lance in there. You're gonna lose a bunch of games.
trade up, trade up. That way you
with
can
what?
get
With what?
Yeah, you don't have any fourth
You don't
round. You didn't have
have
a fourth
any.
round pick last year.
You don't have anything
then
that
lose the
anybody
rest of your
wants.
games. Do not win any more
No, I get
games.
that, but that's what I'm
Like,
saying. But what I'm saying
they've already won
is
too much. Is the problem?
you're
yeah,
not
that's why. Yeah,
but you're not going to
But
get a quarterback. You're not going for a quarterback. So what do you need to be in the top five for?
yeah,
I mean,
running back.
if you
I
draft a running
mean,
back in the first round, I'm going to lose
I
my
mean, not
mind.
first
top.
round, but I mean, at
Yeah,
least
You know,
at some point during this draft, a running back that's somewhat good.
oh, I totally
I mean,
agree.
goodness
I mean,
sakes.
you have a high school running back room. I mean, and you have
your
a
offensive line's been not good at all this
right,
year.
and
That's one they need to definitely. Yeah, I know it's not a sexy thing, like
no,
oh, we got offensive linemen in the first round, but it's
that's where you need.
very, very important.
Yeah,
Hey, we'll
yeah.
trade you our first round pick last year. It's been an absolute bust this year. You can have him. He's offensive lineman. We usually hit on him, but you know what? Green, interesting. I need to go. I need to do some research because Green Bay misses out on their first round picks every year. But we'll hit in the second and the third and the fourth. But our first round picks are always misses. And I'm like,
Just trade your first round picks
might as
out and just
yeah,
trade down in the draft.
trade it. We'll just trade it
We
away.
got like 4 picks
And
in this third round here. All right.
I'm like, Love's really the only last one that I could remember off the top of my head. I'm like, all right, we got somebody. Hell yeah. But anyways, all right, well, let's do our power rankings. Um, well, no, okay. This is gonna be a long episode, gentlemen, because I was still at the do you trust them, the power rankings, and we've got to talk about Heisman. Got to. Let's do power rankings real quick. I think it'll go by faster, and then we'll do you trust them, and then I'll talk Heisman, and we'll finish
I mean, are we
this
gonna
up.
go top 5, top 10? Like,
We'll do top five. We always do top five.
okay,
Um, let's. We want 1 through 5 or 5 through 1.
5
Greg,
through
you
1.
pick. About 5 through 1, Jeff. All
Yeah.
right, 5 through 1. Number 5, I got the Minnesota Vikings. As much as I hate to put them in there because I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. I don't trust Sam Darnold, but he's had a pretty good year this year. I've got Minnesota there, 11-2. You can't deny the record. Um, Coach of the year stuff here. I mean, type of thing with O'Connell there in Minnesota, thinking that we all thought Minnesota was going to be in the bottom of the barrel, and here they are, one of the top teams in NFC. I got them there at number 5. Craig, who you got?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Again. Um,
It was either
talk
them or
about
Pittsburgh
coach
for
of the
me.
year. I mean, you got a guy that you didn't. You won with. You won with 2 quarterbacks that nobody wanted. You've continued to win games somehow. So yeah, I got Pittsburgh.
Again, coin flip for me. It could be either or of these teams, and it's either Pittsburgh or Minnesota. But I think I'll go with Minnesota on this one. I think they surprised me more. Um, I
Yeah.
because I just it wasn't. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it with this team. Pittsburgh. I love Mike Tomlin. I just, I think he's an amazing defensive minded coach. I think he always puts on a tough product defensively every year. Um, so I'm not surprised by that. I'm more surprised with Minnesota. Minnesota, it just seems like they were kind of on the brink of just exploding the whole thing over and just, wiping everything clean. And I was expecting more of a down season for them. And I'm shocked that the season has turned out the way it is currently. Because I mean, it could have easily just went the other direction. So
And
that one's a shock.
that's why I put them there too over the Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh, great year. They've had a great year. Never doubt Mike Tomlin ever again. I owe Derpy an apology, Derpy. Um, I've talked trash about this team all year, and I just can't deny it anymore. They're better than I thought they were. I got Minnesota there. I got the Chiefs at number 4. They've been having some fluky wins. They've had an astronomical number of um uh what is it, single possession wins, one possession wins, or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
They played the Browns today, and I can't sit here and go they should. I can't sit here and go they're gonna beat the Browns easily. It's probably gonna be another double doink field goal with the Chiefs at the end of the game. Weird stuff happens there for Kansas City. I got them at number 4, even though they're 12-1.
I do too. I have them at 4 as well. I just think that there's not a lot of decisive wins. Their defense is incredible. Um, and oddly enough, I don't necessarily trust the offense, which is really weird. You would think that, oh man, they're winning these games. Like they've been lighting it up, haven't they? But like one of the best offenses in the league. No, it's their defense that kind of keeps them in these games, and their defense is on another level. And Mahomes makes plays when Mahomes needs to make plays. I'm not acting ridiculous about it, but I'm just saying he is not playing like we have seen him play before.
No, this is a defensive legend.
So something is strange. And I've said it before. I don't know if I've said it on here before, but I'm just saying, Kelsey. I think Kelsey's 1 foot out the door. I think he's just like, I'm kind of done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not having fun. Like, I think his whole thing of we're winning the whole thing, and I think he wants to win one more and go. And I think that's an interesting thing because it just changes Mahomes' games completely, and it is interesting to see how this team is put together. But I have 4, the fact that they just cannot really dominate teams offensively is a little worrisome. So that's why they're at 4.
Yeah, there's more talking to that too eventually, maybe after this in the season, because that Andy Reid offense isn't blowing people away and isn't.
Yep, there's more film on them now. I guess I don't know.
I don't know. Who you got at 4, Craig?
I got the Eagles. I can't. can't.
Can't leave him out. Can't put him up
Well,
higher.
can't leave him out, but I can't trust him. I just I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm waiting for the locker room to implode. Maybe Barkley is what is holding them together. Um,
It very well could be.
um,
100%.
but yeah, I got the Eagles at 4.
I got the Eagles at 3.
Dang it, Brian.
11
You're
and
reading
2.
my mind.
We're gonna have the same top
Come
5,
on.
pretty much. Eagles are. I don't like. I said we don't really trust the Eagles too much. There's always this banter in the locker room, and 1 week it's the head coach is acting like a fool, and the next week the quarterback is not getting along with the wide receiver, and whatever. Um, but here they are 11 and 2. Um, they pretty much got the division on lock. We'll see what they can do in the playoffs, but I got them right here, number 3. They're good on offense. They're good on defense. Um, and Saquon Barkley could be that glue that's holding them all together and keeps this locker room from breaking down. But you got
I got Eagles mainly because their games kind of like the way they're playing right now, especially run heavy pass that sets up basically the passing game. I think sets up pretty well down the stretch. When you start getting into these playoff games and things like that, I just think that plays well. Going down there. So they're playing on another level. And I think it's Saquon Barkley. I mean, it still just shocks me. I know when he signed there, I was just like, oh, that's pretty good. He'll be pretty good. He'll complement the passing game that they have and complement, the run, the QB option or whatever that they do. And so I just think that that's what I thought, but I did not think he would be this crazy. So that's why I got him at 3. It's his ability to completely not just shock people because everybody knew he was good. I just didn't think he was this good at this point in his career. That's shocking. So I think that little
season he's ever had.
that little element, it kind of reminds me similar to how Baltimore is put up, where you got Derrick Henry and he's just, he's insane. And I'm like, why did this team like? Wow. Okay. You just gave him another weapon. And the same thing with the Eagles. I think you just give him another weapon and it actually is working, which is crazy. So,
In the same division like that.
yeah, exactly. So I'm just like, I look at it like that is why. You take him out of this. I don't know where the Eagles would be right now. And honestly, I don't even know. I think they may even be bottom of this list. But I think him and them and just the threat of that is definitely puts eyes on the defensive eyes on him. And then when her eyes are on him, then Hurts could do what Hurts needs to do or whatever. So it's a threat that for sure. So that's why they're at 3.
Right,
I got Kansas City for every reason you guys talked about. There's something off with this team. They've won a bunch of games, but they're not winning them in runaway fashion. You're waiting for the loss every week. You're waiting for the, I don't think it's this week against the Browns, but you're waiting for the other, something to happen. I think Mahomes is playing hurt. I think the knee is probably injured. He every time he goes and runs, he gets up hobbling and there's something with Kelsey that hasn't been the same this year. He hasn't had the numbers that he normally has. I don't know if he's checked out or what, but yeah, there's something with the team that just isn't. You're not thinking that, but then again, they make the playoffs and anything can happen. So I have them at 3.
Could you imagine if they make the playoffs and they run through Baltimore, Buffalo, to the Super Bowl.
They
Against
just
them.
completely have a different playbook. You're like, what?
I'm gonna lose my mind.
I mean,
Like,
I mean, as
It's
long as
like a
they don't,
playbook not touched until now.
yeah.
as
Like,
long as
come
they don't,
on.
as long as they don't have to go to Buffalo, I like their chances.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, unfortunately.
I mean,
It's so annoying. I'm getting
to
tired
have
of
the
it.
one
No.
seed and
Sorry,
I
cat.
mean, yeah,
I got
Oh no, oh
Buffalo.
no, it's there's don't disregard my team now. We have given them a run and for their money, and I think that this little fun time for Kansas City in this division, I think is a little is kind of coming to a bit of
Coming
a
to an end.
close here. I think it's going to be a
Hey,
lot closer of a series every year. I think it's going to be
Broncos at
split games every year. Like there is no running away anymore. I don't think.
Broncos 8-5 this year. That's another talk at the end of the season. See where they're at. Successful season for Denver there. Um, I got Buffalo at 2. Absolute beast of a team. They're 10-3. If they win today, which gosh, I hope they do. Um, that'll that'll even solidify them here at number 2, number 1 maybe for some people folks. But Buffalo's looking good. I got it number 2. Josh Allen train. He loses his best wide receiver in the offseason and continues to get better somehow. Um, I know their records 10-3, and Philly and Chiefs and Vikings and all have a better record, and the Steelers are tied with the record wise. But I just think Buffalo right now is playing on a different level, and I think they could beat those other teams on the field any given Sunday. So I got Buffalo here. Craig, let's go with you at number 2.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Craig, go ahead.
I got the same thing. I think we were a year late on the Josh Allen revenge tour.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
he's definitely making a lot with a little. He had a bunch. He loses his top two wide receivers, his deep threat, and he loses Diggs and his favorite target, and he still somehow. And they really don't have a running game. I mean, it's not a huge one.
Cooks is decent, but yeah, not
Yeah, but I mean, it's not.
a game changing type of.
Yeah, it's not a guy you just right off the top of your head know the running back in Buffalo. Um, so yeah, I got Buffalo here. It's going to be a really good game today, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I like that.
Um, I'm going with Buffalo. I think because I just think that. Oh, actually, I take that back.
Take it
I do
back.
not go with Buffalo. I had to think about it for a second. I'm going with. This sounds crazy. I'm going with the Lions. Not because I don't. I just it's again. It's one of those where you can flip things around, but I just think right now they have some injuries. There's some. I think their last few games have been really close, which is kind of interesting. I think they've had to manage the clocks a lot, with the offense just managing and making sure that they're just kind of working through those wins, and that's interesting. I think that they may just kind of, it just seems like that the games are too close, and I just think it's just a little too close for my comfort. I think they should um, be winning these games with a little bit more. I don't know, being more aggressive or something like that. But I just think that right now they're just kind of getting these wins and moving to the next team, getting a win right now, especially the last few games. So I don't know. It seems crazy, but it doesn't mean they're bad. There's just kind of worries me a little bit.
Well, I
That's all.
think me and Craig have the same number 1, Detroit. Um, you know, I've had him at number 1 for 2 or 3 weeks now. I think if they lose today, I don't know if I put Buffalo above them. Maybe. Um, they're just really good. I mean, they've got Ben Johnson, the offensive mastermind. They've got a head coach that makes them all want to run through a head wall. He's got cojones the size of a wheelbarrow, and it also kind of stupid. Last week when they played Green Bay and they had the game-winning field goal, and they decided to run on fourth down, which Jared Goff trips and falls, and I'm going, oh, and then they get it, and they kick the game-winning field goal and win. And I'm going, babe, I told my wife, I go, if that failed right there, and they fumbled the ball or they didn't get it, everyone's going, this guy's such a what a moron. But now it's this guy's got some got some cojones on him because it was a bold call. Definitely, it worked out at the end of the day, and they beat us. Um, they're just well coached. They play
Mhm.
offense great. They play defense great, and they play special teams good. So um, not much more could be said. I hate that I got to talk so good about a division team. But it's been so long since they've been. I don't think the Lions have ever been this good, honestly. Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, I have the Lions. It's um, they're good on both sides of the ball. They're I mean, they're the best team in football right now. And until I see something dramatically different, then that's going to be the deal.
Who do you got number one, Jeff? I'm interested. I'm guessing it's Buffalo.
No, I'm kidding.
That's awesome.
Um, no, I got the Bills. I just think that I think so. They had a loss against the Rams, and a lot of people kind of like or is that? But they had I think they had a 17-point deficit in that game at one point, and they got it close.
That was a very close
So
game.
I'm just like this team has a lot of fight in them. I think Josh Allen's on this thing now where it's like, he took down the almighty Chiefs. He's I think this game is also very very important to are you for real or are you not? And it's put up or shut up kind of thing. And um there's a lot of to me there's so much grit in this team still. There's still that team where it's like they're not the flashiest team in the world, but they have some of the biggest like grit you could ever imagine. And then Josh Allen, when he needs to do it, he just gets dirty. Like he gets gritty, he gets grimy. It's like a warrior in battle. Like it's amazing to watch. And so I just think right now he's smelling the playoffs. He's wanting to get there, and I think he's trying to get this team to where they need to be. And so that's why um, there's. It's kind of like how you have the analytics and stuff with sports, and people are like, "Well, what about the stuff that's not about the analytics?" That's what I see with this team. It's like that stuff, that element
Stuff you
that's
can't see.
not the humanistic element, that's not numbers crunching and saying, oh, well, if we do this, 70% of the time we'll get a first down. Like, I just think that kind of element to the game is what the Bills have, which is very interesting and also very hard to keep and to keep going and
Yeah.
and keep that momentum going. Kind of like we were talking about where the Eagles kind of fall apart when the little bitty things happen like that. I think Bills have a tendency to go, no, we're going to keep going. Yeah, we may have lost that game, but you know what? We're going to keep going because we got a whole other beast to slay in this next game. So I think that's how they approach it. And I like that. I think
And
that's the element of sports that kind of people don't ever really pay attention to because it's so analytic based. But this is kind of that other element, that human element to it.
yeah, and that's tough for a team to keep it going, especially through the playoffs when the games get harder. Um, but I mean, Josh Allen's a damn good quarterback, and he's one heck of a watch every Sunday. And I think one of the biggest differences this year is I've seen him put more games on his back and say, "I've got it." That run he did against Kansas City to seal the deal and score a touchdown, I went, "Boom, there you go, staple moment." He said, "I got it, guys. I'm gonna win this game. We're not losing it." And hopefully, see it again today. Josh Allen's very fun to watch. He's very hard to stop. He can throw, and if he ain't throwing, he can run you over and get the first downs when he needs
Yeah.
to and make those plays. And um, And
I know
like to
Craig will be
vote.
excited if he wins this game.
You said Craig will be excited?
Yeah, if Josh Allen, because I know you're a
Yeah.
big Josh Allen guy, right?
Um,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, and I mean, revenge tour. We were just a year. It was a year off, and look, I saw a lady last night leaving Walmart with my daughter, and she had old school, looked like a Leatherman jacket, but it was Buffalo Bills. And I walked by, I said, "Really like your jacket." I said, "I'm a Packers fan, but I like what the Bills are doing." And she said, "Oh, thanks. I hope they win it this year." Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be kind of fun to watch. If my team's not in it, then I might be rooting for Josh Allen. But all right, we ain't gonna have time to do the "Do you trust them?" We'll save that to next week. We got to
I'll
talk
say it right
Heisman.
now. I don't. No, I'm just
You
kidding.
don't. You don't. There's quite a few on there I probably don't trust. You're right. Which is interesting because no one has the Ravens in the top five this week, as the Ravens have been in the top five a lot. And no, I'm like I don't trust them, but we'll get into that next week. We've got to talk Heisman.
Okay.
We've got to talk Heisman because there was a robbery last night, in my opinion. Travis Hunter's a good player. Don't get me wrong. And me and Ryan have been talking about this. Ryan says Travis Hunter deserves it. But Ashton Gentry should have walked away with this hands down over Travis Hunter. All right. And I said, okay, let me go look up the numbers. Let me go look up the numbers. Because the whole thing about Travis Hunter is he plays both sides of the ball. That's very impressive. But that alone should not be the reason he wins the Heisman. Where does he rank when he's a wide receiver? Where does he rank when he's a cornerback? Okay. So I went and looked up the numbers. Travis Hunter is number 6 in wide receiver yards this year. Not top 3, not number 1. He's number 6. Thought he'd be a little higher on
Still
that.
pretty good. I
Still
was
pretty
like,
good.
jeez,
Still pretty
jeez,
good. But we're
that's
talking about
crazy.
Heisman,
Yeah.
though. Okay. He's number 2 in touchdowns with 14. That's pretty good. I think there was one guy had 16 touchdowns above him. He averaged 12.5 yards a reception, which is not like it's good, but it's not in the top 3 of, and that. Defense, he's tied 8th with passes defended at 11, number 8. And interceptions, he's tied 18th with 4. Like there's a long list of people who have 4, and he's there with them. I expected better if we're talking Heisman. Let's go look at Ashton Gentry here. Number 1 in yards, 2,497 yards, almost 2,500 yards. That's insane. Tied number 1 with rushing touchdowns with 29. The other guy was the running back from Navy, who that's all they do is run the football. He averaged 7.3 yards a carry, which is I believe number 1 for running backs. I went through looking at there's a lot of those players that like wide receivers that get a jet sweep or a handoff in the backfield that get one play for 25 yards, so they average 25 yards a carry, which is not true. I'm looking at this going, Gentry deserved it because I don't think we see a running back this close anytime soon with these numbers. And the whole debate is okay, yes, Boise State's not in the greatest conference. And Ryan said, "Hey, Brian, well, when he played against Oregon, he didn't go off." Well, I went and looked up those numbers, Ryan, because you're dead wrong here. When they played Oregon, which is the number 1 team in the nation right now, when they played them, they were number 4 or 5. He had 25 carries, 192 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I don't know how that's not going off. Almost 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's a damn good game if you ask me. So I don't know, guys. I was like I thought Hunter would have a little bit better numbers to be the Heisman Trophy winner because I don't think you can just give it to him because he plays on both sides of the ball, in my opinion. But Craig, what do you think? What do you think about the Heisman Trophy winner?
I think that this is a prime. You played for Sanders. You it's a publicity deal. Um, I mean, basically Sanders has been talking about this. This is my goal is to get Travis Hunter the Heisman, um, and he just spoke it into existence basically. I just think the kid from Boise played in a smaller market, doesn't have the publicity, doesn't have the Colorado's on everybody's TV every Saturday. I haven't seen a Boise State game all year, and so um, I just think more eyes were on Travis Hunter. People talked about him. They wanted him to win it last year. He didn't because of injuries or whatever, and so he missed a bunch of games last year because of an injury, so they couldn't give it to him. And I think barring another injury this year, he was going to win it. That I mean, if he played in the games, he was going to win it. And that's I mean I love what the kid from Boise did, but I just think this was Travis Hunter's to lose, and he didn't lose it. So
And here's an argument that I didn't even bring up yet. Boise State is in the playoffs.
mhm.
Okay, without their running back Ashton Gentry, they're not there. They're not even close to probably being in the playoffs. Where's Travis Hunter in the Colorado? They're not in the playoffs. They make playoffs. You're telling me with a quarterback who's supposed to be in a top 3 draft pick in NFL, with the Heisman winner, best player, and they couldn't make the playoffs? That's that's telling me a lot too. But I know Lesser Conference, but at the end of the day, I think it was a robbery. I think it was a
Well,
robbery.
I mean, not making the playoffs is not just on one dude. Like, I think when it comes to the running back situation, maybe it's a little bit different because that controls the clock, that controls the momentum shift, all that kind of stuff. So when you have a running back going off, it's a little different than Travis Hunter, a wide receiver, and a cornerback, and he's, whether he's thrown to or not, which probably teams stop throwing to him or towards his direction on the defensive end. And then you also have the offensive side of that where as a wide receiver, your quarterback has to have plenty of time to get the ball off. Offensive line has to have plenty of time to block for him. And there's a lot more elements that have to be in play versus a running back where you're basically create the whole I'm gone, kind of deal. So I'm like, there's a little bit more to it than just, they should have made the playoffs because Travis Hunter's there. And I think
Like,
it's a little more complicated than that.
well, you go look at a lot of those Heisman Trophy winners, and I know the playoff system is a little bit different this year than most. But a lot of those Heisman Trophy winners, their teams were in the those teams were top 4 in the playoffs. We widened it to 12 teams, and Colorado couldn't make it. But here's a good thing though too, and here's what Ashton Jeffrey said, and I totally agree. When they asked him why do you deserve to win the Heisman, he said because every team that faced us pitched a defense out there to stop me, shut me down as a running back, load the box. And it didn't, and they still couldn't stop him. You know what I mean? And it's a lot easier to shut down the running back when loaded box than it is to shut down, to me, a wide receiver or a quarterback. Um, I
Well,
just,
what's their offensive line rank? I mean, it's got to be up there.
oh,
It's got to be way up there because if they don't have an offensive line and he's still doing this, that's pretty wild.
they have some
But if they
beasts.
have an offensive line that's incredible and he's doing it, okay,
I don't know if I
that's
can
still
second guess
good. It's
that.
just like they are helping you too. Like it's not like you got a bunch of no name, nothing out there, and you're
I don't know if I can find offensive line
yeah.
rankings.
That's something to think about though. But I don't know. I'm not quite sure what their rank is on there, but it's something to think about.
I mean, I just look at it like this: the Heisman Trophy is supposed to be the best player in college football, and when you talk about the best player in college football, Travis Hunter is not the first name out of your mouth.
Mm.
It's just not. And so
I've always thought the Heisman Trophy, yes, best player, but
It's
I've
a
also I've
publicity.
also
It's
thought it's a publicity thing because there's some
yeah,
players I've seen in there
100%.
before where I'm going,
That's what
really?
it's became. I mean,
Like,
last year when the kid from LSU won, we were like,
We were like,
what?
what?
Where did this guy come from? Where he talk about a team that didn't make the playoff and LSU was terrible last year. Number, they had 4 losses, I think, and he wins the Heisman. So it isn't about wins anymore. It's about who do
Yeah,
we like and
unfortunately, and the thing is, it's usually a quarterback. So at the time, it's
right.
not. And I'm like, it should have gone. And Genty, man, I feel so bad for
I
that guy,
just
but
I think this was more the Deion Sanders,
100%.
well,
over.
it's also the market, as
Yeah,
well. Like if you go and you take a look at what's going on. I mean, they're in the Denver area. I know it's Boulder, but it's basically the Denver area. That school is huge. The fan base
yeah,
is pretty crazy. Like they have a lot of following, especially here in the state.
it's
You go into
looking
any
good.
Walmart here at all, there's an entire pro shop right in the
Yeah.
right towards the entrance. That's all Buff stuff. Like it's pretty crazy. So they're a bigger team than people think, and I think um not just the but the media market. Obviously they've got all the buzz, they've got all the eyes on them, and which is pretty wild coming from a team that honestly hasn't had success in a very long time, not anything meaningful at least. So it's like this is kind of a big deal for them. It will also this throwing everything out here, this will also help with recruiting. There will be not
Yeah,
just that, this will help with recruiting,
As long as Dion
that
stays.
and not just the name obviously, but the eyes on the team and all that kind of stuff. I mean that it will help with that as well, which is pretty wild to think about. But I didn't think about that until just now, honestly.
Brian said it though. As
Yeah.
long as Dion
As
said it.
long as Dion stays, they're going to
Oh
be
no,
relevant.
he's staying. I don't think he's going anywhere. I
Well,
think he has they are letting him do what he needs to do. If he whatever he needs, they are ready to go. This is the most relevant this team's been in a long time. I do not think that the the Buffs or CU. I don't think CU is going to change anything there. They are going to give him what he needs and let him have
yeah,
freedom to do what he wants. But I can tell you right now, a lot of people think, "Oh, he's going to the NFL." I
I
just
don't think
don't
so.
see it. I think Dion does not want to babysit a bunch of grown men
Yeah,
that don't care, and he's just not going to put up with it. I
His
don't think he's a
his
good. I don't think he would be a good NFL coach.
no
I
his
think he's a good college coach
right.
because of what that means, because of how he approaches the game, how he coaches them, and his coaching style. I
Like
don't think that
Harbaugh.
works in the NFL. Exactly. I don't think that works in the NFL because I think these guys have too much of egos and they're just not going to listen to Dion.
well, the other day, Colorado got the top quarterback at a high school to commit, and I go, he's not committing there unless he got some type of word that Dion's sticking around, whether that's true or not. But I don't think you're getting those guys if Dion says, hey, I'm out of here next year, but you can come here. So I think he sticks around. I don't think he'd be a great NFL coach. I think he sticks around in Colorado, and they gave him the keys to the kingdom.
Yep.
So why would you leave? Um, I know your son's leaving, and I don't know. I guess his other son's leaving too. Is he going to get drafted next year somewhere?
Yeah.
But
I honestly, I am more intrigued by that. I'm more intrigued on as to how he's gonna approach this team without his pieces that
Yeah.
he brought in, and including his sons and stuff. So but yeah, that's interesting to me. I'm curious to see how he navigates that, but I'm sure now that the not only just the media market and eyes on CU, now on a national stage with the Heisman Trophy stuff, kind of a big deal for the school. So
of course, there's already rumors, and Ryan texted me the other day about how Sanders is basically going to refuse to play for New York, like Manning and stuff.
Well,
if
John
he
Elway
played
did
for
it
San
too. So
Diego. So the rumor is that the Giants are going to take Cam Ward, which I would take Cam Ward over Sanders anyways. Or in my opinion, I don't think Sanders is going to be that great of a quarterback in the NFL. I don't. But that Sanders wants to play for the Raiders or the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys are not going to get a quarterback.
the
I was like,
Raiders would do it.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
I
if he
hope
wants
they
to sit
do.
there for if he wants to sit there for 5 years,
Yeah, I hope they do because the Dak would not take that very kindly. He got his replacement already. I would love the drama. I would love the drama in Dallas, but no, he's
Oh,
going probably to Oakland
what? You
so
know
they
what
can
though? But
ruin
that would be a
him
Jerry
like they
move,
do
wouldn't it?
everybody else.
That would be a Jerry move, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Dion, we
Let's
got your
trade Mike.
boy.
We got your boy. They give their house and farm to move up for a quarterback they're not going to use for the next 3 or 4 years. I mean,
Oh my!
you
It
call
would
them the
not
Atlanta
shock me though.
Falcons,
That's a Jerry move right there.
The-
Just because the name, and he's like, oh look, and it would just be this big spectacle of like,
yeah,
we had
Jerry
Dion, now we got
Manziel.
his son. Like, it would just be
Manziel
a
2.0,
big, come on.
where they had to hold Jerry Jones down so he wouldn't go draft Johnny Manziel. Funny. But no, he's going to go to Oakland probably, and they're going to ruin
I'd say
him
Oakland, yeah,
because they don't have a team, and
yeah, they don't. They need something.
They need a lot of everything. Is what they need.
I'm surprised. Honestly, you know what surprised me about Oakland, and I'll just say this before we move on. I am shocked that trying to think of the defensive name. I think he's linebacker. Crosby. I'm shocked.
defensive end.
Or defensive end. I'm shocked that he's still there.
Me too.
I'm shocked he's still there.
He's having ankle surgery, right? I believe I saw a report that he's going to have to have ankle surgery, and he's probably going to miss the rest of the season.
And he's locked down, right? Like this isn't like, he's I'm sure they've locked him down, but I'm just shocked that he's still there. I'm shocked they did not trade him away.
Yeah, when his best friend Devontae Adams left.
There's just nothing on that team. He's like the only like bright spot on that team that's exciting.
There is nothing on that team, and they're a long way. But all right, guys. Well, that's the episode today. We could have gone for another freaking hour. It seems like, but
we have like 5 people in here now.
we're gonna end it here. Want to do a what's in our locker? Craig, I know you had a Christmas party last night. Company Christmas party. Let's start with you. How'd that go? What you got going on? You went deer hunting last week.
Yep.
Tell us all about it.
Yeah, I got a deer. Had a nice 4-day trip up there. Came back and had the Christmas party last night. Went real well. And just looking forward to recovering today and kind of watching some football and hanging out and getting some things ready for next week. But don't have much on the agenda for today other than football. So that's about all I got. What about you guys?
There was some like holiday thing for the place I work at. Nothing too crazy, but so yeah, I don't think I've been on here since when I went to Texas, Brian, have I? I don't think so.
No, you haven't.
Okay. So yeah, went to Texas, visited family. I was there for like a week, Thanksgiving. So, and saw Brian. And then we ate. Where did we go, Brian? What was the place called?
Hurtado Barbecue.
Okay. Yeah, it was an awesome place. I had never been there before. I never heard of it, so I was kind of. And I think Brian said, I don't know if Brian had ever been there before, but he's heard of it. So yeah, it was good. It was good.
In the stadium now, so
yeah, it's in the Ranger Stadium now. So
oh, okay. So yeah, it's really good. Saw some family. Ate a lot. Like had like 3 different Thanksgiving meals. And came back. It was fascinating when we came back. A rock hit our windshield, so I had to get that fixed. So the good thing is I have when we bought a car, I got the insurance on it. So it's like, I just call them and they fix it. I'm like, oh, because they asked me when I bought the car, I was like, yeah, I'm getting that. Now I've had things happen. So, did all that, came home, snowed. We got snow like a couple days later. Yeah, just been working. I'm actually in the midst of trying to finish. My grandfather made a cookbook many, many years ago, but it's like it's not in the greatest condition. So we're trying to like do, basically redo it to where I can print it and it's more of a hardback and, people can order it and stuff like that. So I'm in the midst of kind of working on that too, um, which has been kind of fun. So um, other than that,
Well, I know your family can
work,
cook. So
huh?
I said I know your family can cook.
Well, yeah, he made the cookbook back in like the 70s. I think, or like early 80s, somewhere around there. And it's just everybody's copies are kind of all falling apart because it's just over time. So,
Yeah.
so now I'm just revamping it, and we're gonna do a whole thing where people can go order them. Any of the family members can log in and order them if they want. So it's pretty cool to do that. So, and plus I got to ask a bunch of family members for like different things. There's a couple pages I'm missing, um, but yeah, it's been fun. It's cool. And we're gonna digitize it too. So like they'll have like a digital version of it
PDF,
and a
nice.
physical version of it. Yeah.
It's like the Lost Scrolls.
But yeah, that's what I've been doing. My screen just went weird. So
um, not much here, just working. We had a Christmas party the weekend before last. Um, it was fun. We've been doing Christmas stuff. We had Christmas shopping yesterday. Spent way too much money on all that. I gotta save and save and save, and then I spend it within an hour, and I'm like, oh god. But kids will have a good Christmas this year. Uh, that's the important thing. Got some other family drama going on, but I'm not gonna say that on here. Um,
come on,
looking
Brian,
forward to
just say it.
no. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty. My oldest daughter's been playing some Call of Duty with me. She plays Fortnite. She's actually pretty good at it. She won a couple match. She's won,
Dang,
and I'm like, all right, well, let's see if we can do Call of Duty. And so she's been playing that with me.
Brian's already getting his daughter into esports already. Jeez, Brian.
Already, baby. Um, there's something we can do together. Got the Packer game tonight. I'm looking forward to that. I'm making some chili, some homemade chili. I've never really tried to make a chili recipe, so I watched a couple recipes and take some pieces from there and here, and gonna cook that today and watch the Packers hopefully win and get ready for next week. I was sick last week. I called out of work on Friday, just running fever and freaking congestion. You can probably hear him sniffing, cough. It's that time of year when Texas drops 20 degrees in a day and then goes to 20 degrees the next.
It was
It's
50
great.
and raining on Friday, and it was 73 yesterday. So
73 yesterday.
Okay.
yeah,
It's absolutely ridiculous, man.
Oh wow.
So, I'm like, if you're just gonna get cold, just stay cold,
yeah.
But that's not here. It doesn't do that here in Texas. But other than that,
Yesterday it
looking,
was April.
yeah, yeah.
What? So before we leave, just pick one. I'm just curious. Favorite holiday Christmas movie?
Oh man.
Anybody
Okay.
on? Yeah, just pick one though.
All right. Um.
I watch a Christmas story every year on
Awesome.
Christmas Eve for 24-hour loop.
Yeah. Yeah. It just stays on the channel. You watch it
Yeah.
over and over. My favorite Christmas movie of all time is Die Hard. It is. No, I'm just joking. It is.
That's not a
That's not
Christmas
a Christmas
movie.
movie. That's a debatable argument. But um, no, I got
That and
National
Gremlins.
Lampoon. Huh?
That and Gremlins,
Gremlins. I've never seen Gremlins, by the way,
Oh
but
my
Oh, that's
God.
awesome.
um, never seen it. But
Get out.
I just know you can't feed them after midnight. I don't know
Or
what
get them
happens.
wet.
Or get them wet.
Yeah.
No, my favorite is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase. That one's classic. Uncle Buck dropping his sewer line, just dropping his crapper down the sewer line. All the chaos. That's my favorite Christmas movie.
Oh,
Definitely.
I every year it's Home Alone. Well, we watch both, but the main one that I still to this day is one of the best sequels of all time is Home Alone 2. It was just so awesome. That was just like my favorite. It's New York, it's Christmas, it's even like the way it was done was like it's like they went even better and above and beyond than they did in the first one. So it's just overall really good, really good. And
Yeah,
it's one of
Home
my
Alone's a good
favorites
one.
ever. If not, I have every year I watch it.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Um, that's a good question, Jeff. One of our family traditions is sausage balls. Craig, I know you know about sausage balls, but every
Didn't
year,
think anybody else knew about
I
those,
don't
but
think I didn't know anybody else knew about sausage
yeah.
balls. But Craig shows up to work one day with, I'm like, how the hell do you know about
Yeah.
sausage balls? Um, every year we made sausage balls. We
Yep.
would the night before
Yep.
we'd mix them by our hand. My grandma taught me
Put them in
that.
the
And my
freezer and then cook them on Christmas morning. And
Yep, we do it every year.
yep.
Every year. My daughter actually the other day was like, I'm
Going to
excited
the
for this.
grocery store when I'm done here and gonna
Get
get
some.
gonna get the stuff for them.
My daughter was like, I'm excited for Christmas and the breakfast and the balls we make. I'm like, yeah, the sausage balls. She goes, yeah, I'm excited. I'm like, okay, they're
Zach
really
won't
good.
eat them.
You won't eat 'em?
Really?
Crazy.
It's
Super good.
sausage and Bisquick, but he won't eat them.
Sausage biscuit with cheese, and people have done the Cheddar Bay biscuit mix from
Yeah.
Red Lobster,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I've seen Rotel cream cheese. I'm like, well, those are getting fancy, but they
I
are.
made them one year and I'm like, these are different. What is wrong? I forgot the cheese.
Oh,
I did put cheese in them. I was like, huh.
and you gotta. It's better if you grade your own cheese because
Oh
the
yeah, sure.
processed
I don't do
cheese,
all that. Calm down.
processed cheese
Calm
dries
down
it
there,
out.
Chef
You
Boyardee.
got, you gotta grade your own cheese.
No,
That was the worst
that's
part
not
of it.
happening.
It's Chef Brian Ramsey here, okay?
I used to mix them by hand, and now I have a KitchenAid that does that. So
Yes, back in the day it was by the hand.
by the hand.
You mix it well.
Yeah.
Now it's throw them in there.
Now it's throw them in the KitchenAid, and
Hey,
they're done in 15 minutes.
You know
our
what's
cheese.
hilarious? Like I don't use that unless I'm baking something. Like I have to bake something. I use the KitchenAid. But if it's like I made like my grandfather has a recipe for meatballs. I made them the other day and I just by hand. I was like,
Yeah,
I'll just do it by hand.
I use it a lot, and then it's got an attachment, a cheese grater. Boom, and I just the cheese it just.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yes, because the whole grading by hand, get out
Oh,
of
it's
here.
tough, dude. Especially when you get towards the end, you're like, oh, I'm getting
Your hands
close.
cramping. Oh, son of a. Yeah.
Oh,
Couple bags of Kraft. That's how I do it.
Hey,
nice.
it's still good. It's still good. All right, guys. Well, that's gonna be the episode. It's been a little while. It's been on. It's an hour and a half here, but that's no big deal. We like to talk. We'll see you back on Tuesday. Get back into our normal routine here, and then next Saturday as well.
Going down to the stretch of this NFL season, folks.
I know it's almost there, which is crazy.
Almost over.
But it's almost there. Hope your team is doing good. Unless you're in the NFC North, then they can suck. But we got some good football on today, gentlemen. We got some good football on. Go Buffalo. I'm so rooting for the Lions to lose. But anyways, God bless, and remember,
Keep it out.
Keep it outspoken.
oh, good episode.
We got a cough there at the end.